Right guys, UFC on ESPN, Poirier versus Hooker. Fucking great fight, mate. Great fight. I mean, I prefer Poirier, I have to admit that from the outset. I'm a little bit biased. I do prefer Poirier, I just like the way he boxes. I think his technique is smooth, and I do prefer him. And Hooker's a bit of a dick, isn't he? I mean, he came out with that tweet recently about that fighter on the last card who basically quit in the middle of rounds. And there's nothing wrong with that. The guy was knackered. He came on and he came into the fight on 4 days' notice, had a really tough weight cut, and was exhausted. You can't be slating a man for that. You can't do that. I mean, it's big enough that he stepped in there. You know, maybe he'll turn out to be a good fighter, maybe he won't. But I just think it was totally unnecessary by Hooker there, saying that he was made of marshmallows. So I don't like that. I think that's disrespectful. Anyway, I want to get on to the prediction of this fight. And it's going to be an absolute barn burner. So Poirier, the big X factor here is how Poirier rebounds from the Khabib loss. He's not fought since he lost to Khabib, and that was now last year in, I believe, August, I think it was. So he lost to Khabib last year, and he's not fought since then. Meanwhile, Dan Hooker is on a 3-fight win streak. So I think the momentum could definitely play a factor, and I think that could potentially be something that is in Hooker's favour here. But I also think Poirier is a very determined man. He's been in the sport a long time, and this would be a loss that either makes or breaks him. So it could be the best Dustin Poirier we've ever seen, or it could be a somewhat subpar performance. And I think that's what this prediction sort of rests on, really. I mean, stylistically, if you look at it, both guys with pretty good grappling, actually. Both guys who have good jiu-jitsu, have submission wins in the UFC, but they both prefer to stand and strike. I mean, Hooker's a lot rangier. He's a fair bit rangier. He's got better kicks, more variety. He's got elbows in close, knees. Whereas Poirier's a much more sort of stand-up boxer. Just sort of uses good footwork, good head movement, smooth shots, smooth technique. So I mean, it depends who can sort of make it more their fight. I mean, I've got my opinions on it. I watched the Dan Hooker versus Paul Felder fight, and who I think won that is irrelevant. But what I will say is it was very close. It could have gone either way. I wouldn't call it a robbery. A lot of people have been saying Felder got robbed. I don't think he got robbed. But what I would say is that he was able to hit Dan Hooker with quite a lot of shots, quite a lot of big shots. And Poirier is a better boxer with better cardio than Paul Felder is. Paul Felder's probably better in other areas of the game, more kicks, more variety, but Poirier is a better boxer, so I think the shots that Felder can land, I think Poirier can probably land those and more of them. And I think Poirier's done a great job recently, well, before he lost to Khabib, been doing a great job of mixing things up to the body. So I think that Hooker will most likely try and stay on the outside and try and sort of outpoint him until the opportunity sort of presents itself to finish him. And I think Hooker can do that. He's got finishing ability, he can submit people, he can knock people out, we've all seen that. And it's very possible this will be a 5-round war. But I don't really know what my head's saying on this, but my heart is saying that Poirier comes back and gets it done. He comes back determined, and I think he wins it quite lopsidedly. I think he gets inside that reach advantage, peppers the body, lands jabs, hooks, 1-2s to the head. I think the fact that he's southpaw is going to make it difficult for Hooker. So I'm going to say that Poirier outboxes him for sort of 3 or 4 rounds, and I think he is going to end it in the 4th round. I think once it gets those championship rounds, obviously Poirier's been there a couple of times. Hooker obviously was there, did have to go 5 rounds against Felder, but Poirier's been there against better opponents and beaten better opponents than Hooker has. And I know a lot of people are saying that. A lot of people are sort of saying at the moment that Hooker is really one to watch and that he could be a real dark horse in the division. I mean, I don't buy that yet. I'm not quite aboard that train. I still think that Poirier is a much better fighter. I think there's even people ranked below Hooker that would beat him, such as Charles Oliveira. So I'm going to stick with Dustin Poirier. I'm going to go with my gut instinct. I think that Poirier finishes him via TKO due to punches. I don't think there'll be much grappling. Like, Poirier may try a takedown to switch it up. I don't think Hooker will try to take Poirier down. I think Poirier's defensive wrestling has proven to be good, other than against Khabib. I think Poirier's experience and better, overall crisper technique wins the day here. Thanks very much for listening, guys. As always, this is just my opinion, this is just my prediction. If you guys want to give yours, then by all means leave a comment in the bottom of the video. And as always, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Peace.